meet OpenGL, aka Open Graphics Library. They say he's an API. If you don't know what that means, you can call him the middle person who helps the programmer and the low-level graphics hardware to talk to one another. By the way, OpenGL doesn't mean open source, but rather companies that are open to contribute to its development. OpenGL was originally developed by Silicon Graphics, aka SGI. SGI at that time was a world leader in high-end graphics and wanted to help grow industry in graphics segment. So what does he do? He opened up ARB, or Architectural Review Board. In 2006, however, SGI went bankrupt. So SGI transferred control of OpenGL from ARB to Kronos Group, and since many members of the ARB were also a member of the Kronos, this transition went smooth. OpenGL exists in two forms. One is the OpenGL specification document, which describes OpenGL in complete and specific terms through state machines and explanation of features. Other is the implementation of OpenGL itself by various manufacturers, either through software libraries or through drivers for hardware. One thing to keep in mind is OpenGL is graphics-only library, so the only thing it deals with is rendering or drawing stuff on your screen. Here you can see OpenGL and his buddy Glut. Glut is another library that gives OpenGL windows to draw on. Before the release of Windows, developers were writing games for DOS. The developers had direct access to hardware and application code, giving them complete control. When Windows 3.1 was released, it ran on top of MS-DOS, which took away direct access of hardware which the developers once enjoyed. Most of the developers were still making games on DOS. The games that came with Windows 3.1 were simple card and board games. Microsoft had to think of a way to entice developers that Windows was not slow, and also it wanted people to move away from DOS-based systems. Microsoft developed and launched its new OS, Windows 95, and after a few months, Windows Game SDK, also known as DirectX 1. DirectX 1 gave developers a single library to write their codes for. Although DirectX 1 did not support all the hardware available at that time, but it was a huge step. DirectX is a compelling API because developing a new game that supports latest version of DirectX guarantees that nearly every Windows PC will be able to run that game. Similarly, sales of new graphics card is guaranteed by providing DirectX drivers along with it. So DirectX, in essence, is not a single API, but a group of APIs. Among these APIs, Direct3D is used for rendering 3D graphics and has become a popular API among game developers. It is so popular that sometimes DirectX and Direct3D are used interchangeably. The standards of OpenGL are maintained by a consortium of companies, aka Kronos Group. Although OpenGL is cross-platform, it is slow in adoption of new technologies. This is due to the fact that each company has its concern about its compatibility. DirectX is completely owned by Microsoft. Because it relies on other Windows components, it is only supported on Windows-based systems. Since it has no compatibility concerns, it is able to innovate much faster than OpenGL. It is because of these reasons that Windows more or less dominated the PC gaming market in the 2000s. In the recent years, however, OpenGL has steadily regained market share as more and more people are switching to Macs and are also witnessing smartphone gaming market booms. OpenGL has always lagged behind DirectX. Microsoft has done a great job evolving Direct3D. OpenGL has not kept the promises it made with the release of each version. However, OpenGL 4.0 catches up to many features of DirectX 11, thus delivering promises that were never made in the past. Even though OpenGL is not out of the race, but it still needs a lot of work to not only rival DirectX, but also win the hearts of the developers.
I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. You know what cool is? You're looking at it.